All right, so the Trump call, which when I first read the first part of it, I was like, man, that's really awesome, that he talked to you, and I love the part. Similarly, like most people say, if you need anything, don't hesitate to ask, and nobody ever says, yeah, you know what, I do need something. I love that you were like, yeah, you know what, I want to stay at your hotel. My son's a big fan, and like I just thought it was funny, but really cool that you pulled the trigger on that. But then the aftermath of, one of the things that you said to him that to this day, I don't know, do you know if that's where that came from, that he repeated that to?
I don't know. I often wonder if he thought that me saying it meant that's a mentality that we all have, and so you get to just say it.
I guess for the listener that hasn't read that yet, if you can kind of give us the play-by-play on the call.
So, I remember I had to listen to it to remember exactly how it was said, but...
Do you have it on recording? I mean, not here, but...
Somewhere, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
My mother-in-law had it. That's how I found it. So I was like, I need to remember the exact wording. But yeah, he called, and he talks a lot, and he's loud, which was great, because I couldn't really come up with what I wanted to say anyway. I was too exhausted. And he, had said, how are you guys doing, whatever, and, you never expect this to happen. And I said, well, you do and you don't, but we always knew this was a possibility. But still, it's hard when it happens to you. And he said, yeah, and went on. Well, later he said to one of the other widows, he started the conversation and then actually said to her, you always know this is a possibility, but it still hurts anyways. And when I heard, even though it wasn't the exact language, it was the same sentiment. And I felt responsible because he called her, I think, directly after he called me, because the timing was very, it was almost I think when I looked back on it, they were maybe 20 minutes apart. And I realized he probably called her right after he called me, and the timing, between the timing and the wording, I felt guilty for a long time that maybe I caused it. And I don't think many people know that when you lose someone, you can say what you want, but you should never repeat what someone who's grieving is saying to somebody else who's grieving. It's kind of like talking about somebody else's mom. I could say whatever I want about my mom, but if you say what what I say about my mom, I might kill you. So yeah.
I mean, President Trump's certainly not known for his tact. A, and B. I mean, to me, in reading it, I was not frustrated, but I could just see the kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like, that's such a hard situation to go through, where somebody isn't going to criticize you for either saying too much or not enough or the wrong thing, or it's just like you can't make everybody happy. I am curious though, to this day, do you know if he did say he knew what he signed up for, or is that still
I don't, that's what she says, and honestly I wasn't there, so I tend to just, I'm not going to say he probably did, but she's a grieving widow. So whether that's exactly what he said or not, either way, her feelings were hurt. And I think as a president, it's kind of like you have the world at your fingertips, and she just lost her whole world.
Like your one job is to not make it worse.
Yeah, like at that point, whether that's what you meant or that's what you said, I don't think it's relevant. I think that's a good time to just say, I am so sorry I hurt your feelings, and move on. Yeah,
and that's one thing I will say, he's not particularly competent at is, being like, yeah, you know what, I could have handled that better, and to me that's one of those moments where that's just the right thing to say, is like, hey, I didn't mean to make things worse. I was trying to console her. I didn't do as good a job as I could have, and I'm sorry. Like, if he would have just said that, I think it would have been over, But,
like, honesty and humility go a long way.
Yeah, for sure. It was frustrating just reading it, and I know you kind of echo that sentiment throughout the book, in that so much focus is now turned on the phone call, to where kind of everything else is forgotten. The fact that these guys are gone, and why they were there, and the controversy surrounding that, and the ongoing investigation, they're not really being much focus, especially on the media. The media is more worried about motherfucking Trump,
Right.
over the phone call, language than they are about what happened, which
Even now people will comment, oh, this was Trump's Benghazi, or this Trump caused this. This is because of his,
Yeah.
I've even had radio interviews with that. Well, now that the administration changed this,
yeah.
this kind of thing won't happen. And I laugh because I'm like, it has nothing to do with presidents. They're not aware of what a 12-man team in the middle of nowhere Africa is doing.
Yeah,
That's a general issue.
Yeah, I mean, aside of Bin Laden raid or the al-Baghdadi raid or something that high level, they don't have any tactical control over that. But so the White House visit and the Trump hotel, I again reading that, it was neat to see that that they honored your request of being able to do both of those things, which was really cool. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so we when Trump, like you said, he said, hey, well, if there's ever anything I can do for you, and I said, well, we're going to be in D.C. when we bury Bryan at Arlington, and we'd love to stay at your hotel, but clearly as military we can't afford it, so is that something we can do? And he said absolutely. He got us a room, and we stayed at the hotel. He gave us 2 rooms actually adjoined, and
One to mess up and one to sleep in, right?
right, exactly. One for the kids to jump on the beds and
Yeah.
eat everything out of the fridge.
Yeah.
So he covered all of that, which was amazing. So we got to have just 2 restful. I mean, I didn't sleep, but I tried. I had some good whiskey though.
What kind of whiskey was it? Do you remember?
I don't even remember now. I just remember it was expensive and I didn't have to pay, and I was really excited.
I raided the mini bar and I don't give a shit what was in it.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Well, I went down every night into the big lobby, and I just ordered whatever the most expensive drink was, and I was like, oh, this is great.
That's awesome.
Stuff I usually wouldn't be willing to pay for,
Yeah.
So I did that, and then and then we had a free day, so I asked my CAO, because he wanted to know, well, what tours would you like to do while you're in D.C.? And we had just been to D.C. with Bryan, and the only places we didn't go was Arlington and the White House. I'm sure there were other little things we didn't do, but we spent a solid week and a half, so we had done a lot. And I thought, I don't want to backtrack with the kids to the places we were just at with their dad. That would be really hard and exhausting. And so I asked the CAO, more in a joking manner, I was like, well, we're staying at Trump's hotel. He should probably give us a tour of the White House. So next thing I know, we were getting a private tour of the White House with military aide to the president and a White House historian. So any, roped off areas we could go into. We went into the theater. We went into, just all over. It was really incredible. Yeah. So we walked down the West Wing, ran into Pence, got to see the motorcade, and
he, you describe in the book he was legitimately choked up when
he was. He definitely had tears in his eyes and gave me a long hug, and
uncomfortably long.
It was bordering.
Yeah.
No, it was just he came, gave me a hug, and then. It took him a minute to recover after he hugged me. I think he was trying not to cry. Yeah. And then he walked down and said hi to everybody else and gave my mother-in-law a hug and then moved on.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was definitely legitimately moved.